Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. My name is Sylvia Black, and I'm your host. Today we're going to be talking about opening the door to a home of your own. Now, this is a book that I obtained from a government agency, as well as the other books that we talked about previously, which are Knowing and Understanding Your Credit, Choosing a Mortgage That's Right for You, and Borrowing Basics, Which You Don't Know Can Hurt You. And I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. We've also been talking about the book that I've written entitled Free Money for Home Buyers. Now, this book talks about grants, purchase subsidies, down payment and closing cost assistance that does not have to be repaid, as well as other free money available to first-time home buyers within the state of New York, and we also list the websites that are outside of the state of New York. And I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And we're going to be continuing on the subject of opening the door to a home of your own. Now, if you're like millions of Americans, that owning your home is a major part of the American dream. Affordable Homes and various government agencies would like to help you understand the steps that you have to follow to reach that dream of home ownership. Okay? Home ownership is a big responsibility, and one that you will need to accept for many years to come. It is worth the effort, and Affordable Homes and Apartments and various government agencies would like to help you. You may not be familiar with who we are, however, but you will get to know us as time goes on. Now, when you want to buy a home, you will be faced with many decisions. The first decision is whether you actually are ready to buy a home or not. Finding the right home is not always easy, and getting a mortgage loan can be time-consuming and complicated. That's why we here at Affordable Homes would like to help you. That's our job. That's what we do. Okay, you can visit my website at affordablehomesandapartments.com, and under the page where it says First-Time Home Buyers, sign up here, fill out the questionnaire, and then we'll have a sales agent get in touch with you within 24 hours. You can also go on my website at affordablehomesandapartments.com for a copy of this book, Free Money for Home Buyers. And when you take out a loan, if you decide that you are ready to buy a home or not, Affordable Homes and Apartments will take you through the steps a mortgage lending institution uses to decide if you qualify for a mortgage or not. When you take out a loan, you sign documents that you say that you will promise to pay the loan back, which is called a promissory note. When a mortgage lending institution, a bank, credit, financial institution makes a loan, it has been determined that there is a good likelihood that you will keep your promise. Okay, the mortgage lender knows that it does not help you or the lending institution if you're not given the loan. But then, for reasons you're unable to make your payments each month, then you may be faced with foreclosure, and we have a book for that. To decide if you will be able to repay the loan, the lender will look at many different pieces of information about you. This process is called underwriting. These pieces of information show how well you have repaid your debts in the past, whether you are likely to repay your debts in the future, and your ability to repay your mortgage today and your other current debts. There are some general guidelines that help a lender in looking at these pieces of information about you. But you should also remember that there are some flexibility in these guidelines. Because everyone's financial situation is different, if you are very strong in one area, it may help to balance out another area in which you are not as strong. Okay? Now we will go through the questions in this booklet, and we will test you. You'll be tested. If you are not ready to buy a new home, you will find out very soon that you are not. If you are ready to buy a home, it will be determined that you will be ready to buy a home. Okay? How steady is your job history? This is important. Having a steady job helps you to keep your promise to pay back a mortgage loan. If you have been working continuously for 2 years, not even necessarily on the same job, you are considered to have a steady employment. A lender will need to know your job history, and it will be a major factor in whether you qualify for a mortgage loan. However, you do not have to have held the same job for 2 years, as I said, in order to be approved for a loan. Jobs move, and as could result in, you could have changed jobs, maybe a better paying position, or maybe the same pay, for whatever reason, but that's still considered steady employment. You may have been discharged recently from the military, or just finished school, or you may have been a seasonal or temporary worker. Any number of reasons could have existed in terms of why you left there. There may be other acceptable reasons why you have not been employed continuously for 2 years. For example, you may have been laid off because a plant was closing, or maybe because of illness. Or you may be in a line of work in which a frequent job turnover can be customary, but you have been consistently employed and have maintained a regular, consistent level of income. If you have been fired for cause such as excessive absences, have long gaps in your employment record, or have dips in your income level that are difficult to explain, you should probably delay buying a home until you can demonstrate that you have a stable work history. Based on the information above that we just talked about, you give yourself an A+ if you think you have a stable work history, or give yourself an A- if you think you do not have a stable work history. Now, do you pay your bills on time each month? How you paid your bills in the past gives the lender and affordable homes and apartments some indication of how you can be expected to pay them in the future. When you apply for a mortgage, you will be asked to list all your debts, the amount of your monthly payments, and the number of months or years left to pay off your debts. Your lender will order a credit report to verify the information that you have given them and check to see how well you have kept your promise to repay your debts. Credit reports are provided by credit reporting agencies, as we talked about before. There's Equifax, Experian, and another one, I can't think of what it is. Okay, now credit reports are provided by these credit reporting agencies. There are 3 of them. TransUnion, okay, that make inquiries to a wide range of available sources of information. Banks that may have given you a car loan, credit card companies, even gasoline companies and department stores that offer credit cards. It is very important to disclose all of your debts, long and short term, and any difficulty that you may have had in the past in repaying your loans and the reasons why you were not able to pay them. Some reasons are justifiable, such as medical. It's also important not to leave out any information about money that you owe, because then that can determine that you've been lying, and you will probably be talking to dog's ears at this point, and they will not be listening to anything that you're saying. Credit reporting companies have access to a great deal of financial information about you, and they make it available to lenders who will be reviewing your loan application, and we have access to the same software. If you have previously owned a home and your mortgage has been foreclosed upon within the last 7 years, the foreclosure will be revealed on your credit report. So if you lie about it and then a credit report is run, it will be determined that you lied because it will be on your credit report. So that won't be a good idea. Okay, having a foreclosure on your records doesn't mean you can never buy another home. Your lender will want to know the reason for the foreclosure, and most prefer the 3 years go by before applying for a new mortgage. And during that time, you can take up some workshops with affordable homes and apartments. If you have declared bankruptcy within the past 10 years, that also will be revealed on your credit report. And it will be helpful for you to explain the circumstances surrounding it. Lenders usually prefer that you wait 2 years after discharge of the bankruptcy before assuming a new large debt like a mortgage loan. This gives you time to reestablish credit and show that you are again able to manage your financial affairs. Sometimes credit reports are inaccurate, however, or they may give a misleading picture of your past credit problems that have since been resolved. To check the accuracy of your credit report, you are able to obtain a copy of your credit report, and usually you can obtain a free credit report annually, or if you have been rejected for credit. Okay, now to check out for a small fee, sometimes free, you can request a copy from a credit reporting agency. Listed in your local Yellow Pages, we'll give you that information also. But if you find an error, you can take steps to have your report corrected. Okay, if your credit report shows that you do not have a good credit history and the information reflected is correct, you should probably delay trying to buy a home right now and take steps to improve your credit profile, like take our workshop, Financial Management Workshop, offered with Affordable Homes and Apartments, available on affordablehomesandapartments.com. That's where you register. For example, you may have too many debts, or you may pay some debts late each month. If so, you should work to bring your payments up to date and to pay off some of your debts. Even if your debts are current, you may not be considered a good candidate for a loan if you have made your monthly payment after the due date each month. After you have decreased the amount you owe, and you are able to show a 2-year history of making payments on time, you may be ready to begin looking for a home of your own. Give yourself an A+ if you have a good credit history, or an A- if your credit history shows some recent unresolved problems. Now, do you have a credit history? Excuse me. If you have never had any credit cards or taken out any kind of loan through any kind of financial institution or any retail organization, the various credit reporting agencies may not have or be able to issue a credit report on you because there's nothing to show. No history, no credit history. In that case, you will be able to use non-traditional credit or alternative credit. For example, you may be able to document that you pay your rent, your telephone bills, your utility bills on time each month, and you can put these records together yourself by making copies of canceled checks, or the actual receipt or the contract that you have between you and the retail organization, showing monthly bills, okay, that do not have any late charges. Okay, a mortgage lender may be able to help you put this information together. Okay, you can go to Rent-A-Center, you can get a copy of that contract. Any financial institution where you have been extended credit, you should at least have the contract available. Now, do you have money saved up for a down payment? Excuse me, if you don't, you can order a copy of my book, Free Money for Home Buyers, available on affordablehomesandapartments.com. Now, my book, Free Money for Home Buyers, talks about grants, low interest rate loans, down payment and closing cost assistance, purchase subsidies, free housing counseling, and free housing agencies all over, as well as state, local, federal government, and local municipalities that offer down payment and closing cost assistance for you. And there are other programs in here that are offered to low to moderate income individuals and families that can help you buy a home with very little money down. Okay? And we're talking about a small amount of money. We're talking about a digit with 2 zeros in the back of it. Okay? Now, when you buy a home, you will need money that you will have saved up, which is called the down payment. However, when you first actually identify the home that you want to purchase, you will be required to put down what is called an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is secured by your own funds, which is very small, and it says that I definitely want to buy this house. Now, usually the earnest money deposit is refundable either in whole or in part. And you will be advised to read the contract to find, or to ask that question before you give up the earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is usually a very small amount, but it is a good faith money that says, I want to buy this house. I am serious about this buying house business. Okay, and then the down payment, which is a larger portion over and above the earnest money deposit, which is included, which minuses what takes away from the earnest money deposit. For example, some lenders require that you put down 20% is for conventional loans, and that's for a regular loan that is not insured by the government. Okay, a mortgage loan that is insured by the government is called a HUD FHA mortgage. Okay, that is a government insured mortgage. That's saying that if you, Mr. Buyer, or you, Miss Buyer, walk into the bank and you sign the promissory note, but you do not pay the money back, that the government will then pay back the bank. And then your house will then go up for sale for the balance of the mortgage, whatever you owe. So investors get a great deal off of buying foreclosures because they get it at less than what it's worth. And they know the house is up to par because you're still currently living in it. All the other utilities are working properly. The house is livable. It's currently livable because you're living in it. and they get it at half the price. So you could have been living there for 15 years, and all of a sudden you foreclose on your mortgage, and then an investor gets an opportunity of a lifetime. Well, we here at Affordable Homes can help show you how to save your home from foreclosure as well. And we have a book for that, which is called Help for Homeowners Facing the Loss of Your Home, and that's available on AffordableHomesAndApartments.com. Okay, now your earnest money deposit is usually a very, very small amount, very small. Okay, and then once you've identified the loan and hopefully the mortgage company, now the mortgage company says we are ready to process your mortgage. They've given you a pre-qualification certificate which you bring to us, and this helps show us what houses we can show you. We found the house that you want the house, you sign a contract for it that you're going to purchase it from the buyer, and you drop that earnest money deposit. Then we submit that contract back to the bank or the financial institution, and they look it over. And they say, okay, we're going to do the loan. Your loan is, we're going to underwrite your loan for you. Now you're going to be required to put down what is called a down payment, okay, which in some cases can be as much as 5%, 6%, or maybe as little as 3% or less, depending on which program you qualify for, which I talk about in my book, Free Money for Home Buyers, available on AffordableHomesAndApartments.com. Okay, now, once the bank says, okay, now we're going to process the mortgage. Now what they issue you is what is called a commitment. A commitment is saying that we guarantee pretty much, you know, we are going to definitely, we are going to loan you this money. We commit to loaning you that money. That is what a commitment is saying. It's almost like a guarantee. We're going to process, we're going to underwrite this mortgage for you. And the reason why it usually takes 2 months is because they want to make sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. And it's for you, the protection of the first-time home buyer, basically why it takes 2 months to close on the deal. Okay, there's a lot of paperwork that has to be gathered over the process. You have to get title insurance. Title insurance assures you, that says that when you buy the house from Mr. Seller, Ms. Buyer is buying the house from Mr. Seller, and Mr. Seller's relatives can't come back to Ms. Buyer later on after you bought the house and say, I own the house, he doesn't own the house, or I own part of that house, so that sale was illegal. That title insurance guarantees you that that is not going to happen to you. Also, a survey is usually required. A survey is an educated appraisal, not an appraisal, it's an educated estimate of the lot size, where your lot begins and where it ends. How far out that way does it extend, and how far around does it go? How much land do you have that extends beyond your house? That is a survey. Of course, now all of these things cost money. This is included in your down payment or the assistance that you obtain. Okay, available on AffordableHomesAndApartments.com. Okay, now an appraisal is something that has to be done, and usually sometimes 2 of them have to be done. If you are buying a handyman special, I say a handy person special or a handy woman special. If you buy a fixer-upper, okay, there's a different loan criteria, but basically it's similar, almost the same. Okay, it's a different type of a mortgage that you will qualify for, which can be considered, it's called a HUD FHA 203K. Okay, 203K like a kite. And what that is that's a mortgage loan that will cover the purchase and the rehab of the loan, of the purchase price of the house. Okay, the bank loans you the money if you qualify, and then they pay the buyer, the seller, off what they owe, and then the repairs begin. And then little by little the contractors are paid over a period of time until the house is fixed up and you receive a certificate of occupancy that says the house is now ready to live in. And then you move into, or you get the keys to, your brand new house. Now, for a house that is not a fixer-upper, then you'll just get a regular mortgage loan, which in this case, a HUD FHA approved loan would have to be issued from a HUD FHA approved mortgagee. Now, there are also state agencies that assist in down payment and closing cost assistance, and that's called State of New York Mortgage Agency, or eloquently known as SONYMA. Okay, SONYMA is a state-run facility that offers down payment and closing cost assistance as well. And I list both of those resources in my book, Help for Homeowners, Free Money for Home Buyers, available on AffordableHomesAndApartments.com. Okay, now the State of New York Mortgage Agency says that we will again guarantee the funds from the bank. So then the bank has to be a state of a SONYMA approved mortgagee in order to issue you a SONYMA mortgage. Okay, it's a better risk to loan you the money, but you still have to qualify. See, banks no longer have, which I just found out, what they called subprime mortgages. Subprime mortgages had came out about maybe, I don't know, looked like about 15 years ago. And what had happened is all you had to do was put down that earnest money deposit. You didn't have to put any more money down at all. Just that earnest money deposit was all you needed, and that would be considered as your down payment. You didn't have to have good credit. You could have less than perfect credit. Okay, and you would still get the mortgage. These are loans for people with bad credit. What they call subprime mortgages. A lot of banks don't offer that anymore because they have taken a loss, a tremendous loss. People with bad credit, they didn't get their money. Okay, some people maintained the home and some people didn't, but banks and financial institutions and investors took a loss, so they no longer offer subprime mortgages. So now the average credit score that we look for is around 600, 610, 620. And then a word on that basically is saying that Bank A, Bank B, and Bank C, all three have their different qualifying criteria. Even though there's an average medium loan, you might have, okay, Bank A might say you can have a 620 score. Bank B might say all you need is 600. Bank C might say you need 700 score. Okay, the minimum score I believe is 300 or 390. I haven't seen a score low. I thought it was like 500. But you need a 620 across the board to qualify for a mortgage with no problem. Or you're going to need a cosigner. A cosigner is somebody that has credit. It's going to co-sign for you, but you are both going to be responsible. The co-signer is saying if you don't pay, then they'll pay. That's basically what they're saying, because if you don't pay, then they're not responsible. Their credit is affected. Okay, so each bank, every financial institution has their own qualifying criteria. One of the first things that we need to do when we walk into the bank, or prior to walking in, I will have already done research on it, is to ask, are you an FHA approved mortgagee? Are you a SONYMA approved mortgagee? Okay, this will let me know if they participate in the type of programming that the government or the state agency guarantees the money against them. It'll make it a lot easier for you to get the loan, although you still have to qualify for it, but you'll have a better chance of getting it if you, and then of course the down payment is less. You won't have to save up, I mean, if you can save up 10 grand to put down on a house, up here in West New York, you can buy a house with 10 grand. Okay, some people don't want to go through the efforts. I believe that they don't think they have what it takes. You know what I mean? Because you're working so hard on the job, you figure you just want everything to be nice and easy for you. Well, you know, nothing is nice and easy. There's nothing, it's not peaches and cream. When you buy a house, it's a big responsibility associated with it. And a lifelong responsibility at that. Okay?